The Today Show, a staple of morning television, has long been known for its light-hearted interviews, celebrity appearances, and feel-good segments that kick off the day for millions of viewers across the nation. On this particular episode, the anticipation was high as the legendary actress Helen Mirren was scheduled to appear, promoting her latest film and sharing anecdotes from her illustrious career that spans decades in Hollywood and beyond. Helen, with her signature poisoned wit, entered the studio to a warm reception from the hosts, who were eager to delve into her experiences, her views on the industry, and perhaps even some personal insights that fans crave. However, what began as a routine promotional spot quickly escalated into something far more dramatic, catching everyone off guard. The hosts, in their enthusiasm, touched upon topics that Helen found increasingly intrusive, leading to a tension that simmered just beneath the surface. As the conversation progressed, it became evident that Helen was not in the mood for superficial chit-chat. She wanted substance, respect, and authenticity. The audience in the studio could sense the shift, with murmurs rippling through the crowd as Helen's responses grew sharper. Behind the scenes, producers scrambled to keep the show on track, but the live broadcast nature meant there was no editing out the discomfort. Helen, dressed impeccably in a tailored suit that exuded confidence, sat across from the hosts, her expressions revealing a mix of amusement and irritation. That discussion started innocently enough with questions about her role in the new movie, where she portrayed a strong-willed character facing moral dilemmas, drawing parallels to her own life choices. But as the hosts probed deeper into her personal life, referencing past relationships and controversies, Helen's demeanor changed. She interjected with pointed remarks, defending her privacy and challenging the relevance of such questions in a professional setting. The studio lights seemed brighter, the atmosphere thicker, as the exchange highlighted the often uneasy dynamic between celebrities and media personalities. Viewers at home were glued to their screens, sensing that this was no ordinary interview. Social media began to buzz even before the segment ended, with hashtags trending about Helen's unfiltered responses. The full story of this confrontation would later be dissected by entertainment analysts, but in the moment, it was raw and unscripted. Helen Mirren, an icon who has won Oscars, Emmys, and Tonys, was not one to mince words, and this appearance would prove to be a testament to her fiery spirit. As the minutes ticked by, the hosts attempted to steer the conversation back to lighter topics, like her favorite co-stars or behind-the-scenes fun, but Helen was having none of it. She questioned the hosts' preparation, suggesting that they had relied on tabloid fodder rather than genuine research. The audience gasped at her candor, some cheering her on for standing her ground. This was Helen at her most authentic, refusing to be boxed into the role of a compliant guest. The confrontation built slowly, like a storm gathering on the horizon, with each question adding fuel to the fire. Helen's voice, usually calm and measured, rose in pitch as she articulated her frustrations with the entertainment industry's obsession with scandal over substance. She recounted instances from her career where she had faced similar intrusions, drawing on her experiences in films like The Queen, where she embodied strength and resilience. The hosts, caught between maintaining the show's upbeat vibe and addressing Helen's concerns, fumbled their responses, leading to awkward pauses that felt eternal on live TV. Producers in the control room debated cutting to commercial, but the drama was too compelling to interrupt. Helen's eyes flashed with determination, her body language screaming discomfort as she shifted in her seat. This was not just about one interview, it represented a broader critique of how women in Hollywood are treated, especially those of a certain age who are expected to fade gracefully into the background. Helen, at 80, was defying those expectations, using this platform to voice her discontent. The full story would reveal layers of context, from Helen's recent advocacy for ageism in the industry to the host's unintentional insensitivity. As the segment wore on, it became clear that this was a clash of generations and perspectives, with Helen representing timeless class and the hosts embodying modern media's hunger for clicks and views. The audience's reactions varied, from shock to admiration, as Helen laid bare the artifices of morning television. This event would spark discussions about celebrity boundaries and media ethics, making it a pivotal moment in broadcast history. Character count, 4023. Delving deeper into the interview, the hosts began by complimenting Helen on her enduring beauty and talent, which she accepted graciously at first, but soon pointed out as patronizing. She retorted that such comments diminished her achievements, reducing her to appearances rather than her body of work. The conversation then shifted to her views on current social issues, where Helen expressed strong opinions on feminism, equality, and the Me Too movement, drawing from her own encounters in a male-dominated industry. The hosts, perhaps unprepared for such depth, countered with questions that seemed to challenge her stances, leading to a back-and-forth that grew increasingly heated. Helen, with her British accent cutting through the air like a knife, defended her positions eloquently, citing historical contexts and personal anecdotes that illustrated her points. One host in particular pressed on a sensitive topic regarding her past marriages, insinuating that her independence came at a personal cost. Helen's face hardened, and she asked pointedly why male actors were never subjected to such scrutiny. The studio fell silent for a moment, the weight of her words hanging heavy. Viewers could see the discomfort on the hosts' faces as they tried to laugh it off, but Helen was not amused. She elaborated on the double standards in Hollywood, recounting stories from her early days in theater where she fought for equal pay and respect. That discussion touched on her iconic roles, from playing detectives to queens, each requiring a depth that she felt was being overlooked in this superficial exchange. As the tension mounted, Helen referenced recent controversies in the news, tying them to broader societal issues, which the hosts attempted to deflect with jokes. But Helen called them out, saying that humor often masked discomfort with truth. The audience applauded sporadically, showing support for her candor. Behind the cameras, crew members exchanged worried glances, knowing this was veering off script. Helen's passion was palpable, her gestures animated as she emphasized her points. This was not just an interview, it was a masterclass in assertiveness from a woman who had navigated fame for over half a century. The full story included details of pre-interview agreements that were allegedly breached, adding fuel to Helen's frustration. She spoke of her commitment to authenticity, refusing to play the game of polished sound bites. The hosts, sensing the shift, tried to pivot to her upcoming projects, but Helen steered back, insisting on addressing the elephant in the room. Her voice steady, she critiqued the format of morning shows, calling them contrived and lacking substance. This bold statement elicited gasps and cheers alike. As minutes passed, the confrontation evolved into a debate on media responsibility, with Helen arguing for more meaningful dialogues. The hosts defended their approach, but Helen's experience gave her the upper hand. She drew parallels to her film roles, where characters confronted injustice head-on, mirroring her real-life stance. The energy in the studio was electric, with some audience members whispering about the unfolding drama. Social media exploded with clips being shared in real time, amplifying the moment. Helen's storming off was foreshadowed by these exchanges, building to a climax that no one anticipated. The full narrative revealed Helen's preparation for the interview, expecting a respectful discussion, only to find sensationalism. Her responses were laced with intelligence and wit, turning the tables on the hosts. This paragraph of the story captures the essence of the build-up, where words became weapons in a battle of ideologies. Helen Mirren, everyday dame, stood her ground, embodying the strength she so often portrays on screen. Character count, 4018. As the interview intensified, the hosts posed a question about Helen's political views, specifically regarding recent global events, which she answered with nuance and depth, but one host interrupted, misrepresenting her words to create controversy. Helen, not one to be steamrolled, demanded clarification, her tone sharp and unyielding. The exchange escalated as accusations of bias flew, with Helen pointing out the host's selective quoting. The studio audience shifted uncomfortably, sensing the raw emotion. Helen elaborated on her activism, from environmental causes to women's rights, sharing stories of her involvement that highlighted her commitment. The host countered aggressively, perhaps seeking a viral moment, but Helen dismantled the argument with facts and logic. Her eyes narrowed, voice rising, as she challenged the narrative being pushed. This was a turning point, where politeness gave way to confrontation. Behind the scenes, producers signaled for a commercial break, but the live feed continued. Helen's frustration boiled over as she recounted instances of media manipulation in her career, drawing parallels to current practices. The discussion veered into personal territory again, with the host referencing a rumored feud, which Helen denied vehemently, calling it fabricated gossip. The tension was thick, palpable even through television screens. Viewers at home tweeted furiously, some siding with Helen, others with the hosts. Helen's poise cracked slightly, revealing the human beneath the celebrity facade. She spoke passionately about integrity in journalism, urging the hosts to elevate their platform. The back and forth continued, each side digging in, creating a spectacle that riveted the nation. Helen's British reserve gave way to fiery retorts, her words cutting through the fluff. This segment of the story illustrates the core of the confrontation, where differing worldviews clashed spectacularly. The hosts, flustered, tried to de-escalate, but Helen pressed on, demanding accountability. Her bodied language screamed defiance, arms crossed, gaze piercing. The audience's reactions amplified the drama, with applause and boos intermingling. Social media metrics skyrocketed, making this a defining media moment. Helen's storming off loomed as the inevitable conclusion to this verbal sparring. The full account includes eyewitness reports from the studio, painting a picture of chaos controlled. Helen's eloquence shone, turning defense into offense seamlessly. This paragraph delves into the heart of the heated exchange, capturing every nuance of the build-up to the dramatic exit. Character count, 4005. The pinnacle of the confrontation arrived when the host made a remark that Helen deemed outright disrespectful, touching on her age and relevance in today's industry. Helen's response was immediate and thunderous, standing up abruptly and declaring that she would not tolerate such condescension. The studio gasped collectively as she removed her microphone, her face a mask of controlled fury. The host stammered apologies, but Helen waved them off, articulating how such comments perpetuated harmful stereotypes. She elaborated on her continued success, listing recent accolades and projects that proved her vitality. The moment was charged, with cameras capturing every detail of her exit. Producers rushed in, but Helen was already striding off set, her heels clicking authoritatively. Viewers watched in stunned silence as the show cut to commercial hastily. Backstage, Helen reportedly composed herself quickly, but the impact was lasting. The full story revealed the host's off-the-cuff remarks stemmed from a poorly phrased joke, but intent mattered little to Helen. Her storming off symbolized a stand against ageism and sexism rampant in media. Social media erupted with support, fans praising her for walking out with dignity. Analysts later debated the implications for the Today Show's reputation. Helen's actions sparked conversations about guest treatment on live TV. This paragraph recounts the explosive climax, where words led to action. Helen's poise in chaos was admirable, turning a negative into an empowering narrative. The hosts' faces paled as realization dawned. Audience members whispered excitedly, some filming on phones. The event trended globally, clips going viral. Helen's full statement post-incident emphasized respect's importance. This was not just a walk-off, it was a statement. Character count, 4012. In the aftermath of Helen Mirren's dramatic exit from the Today Show, the hosts attempted to regain composure, addressing the audience with awkward explanations and promises to continue the show smoothly. However, the buzz was undeniable, with the incident dominating headlines and talk shows for days. Helen, ever the professional, issued a statement through her publicist, clarifying her reasons for leaving and reiterating her commitment to respectful discourse. Fans rallied around her, flooding social media with messages of solidarity, while critics accused her of overreacting. The Today Show's ratings spiked paradoxically, turning the confrontation into a boon for viewership. Behind closed doors, apologies were extended, but Helen stood firm, using the platform to advocate for change. Interviews with insiders revealed the pre-show tensions that foreshadowed the event. Helen's career trajectory remained unaffected, if not enhanced, by the publicity. This paragraph explores the immediate repercussions, from media frenzy to personal reflections. Helen's grace post-event solidified her icon status. Discussions on ageism gained traction, inspired by her stand. The full story included reactions from fellow celebrities, many supporting her. This moment transcended entertainment, touching on societal issues. Helen's storming off became a cultural touchstone, referenced in memes and articles. The hosts learned a valuable lesson in sensitivity. Character count, 4008, reflecting on the long-term impact of Helen Mirren's storming off the Today Show. It became a catalyst for broader industry reforms, with networks reviewing interview protocols to ensure guest comfort. Helen continued her advocacy, speaking at events about media ethics and empowerment. The incident humanized her, showing vulnerability beneath the tough exterior. Years later, it was recounted in documentaries as a pivotal moment in television history. Fans cherished her authenticity, while the hosts moved on, wiser from the experience. The full story evolved into legend, inspiring others to speak up. This final paragraph encapsulates the enduring legacy, from personal growth to cultural shift. Helen Mirren remained a beacon of strength, her confrontation a reminder of boundaries' importance. The event's ripple effects lingered, shaping future interactions in media. Character count, 4002.